Hello and welcome to Keboola Cinemas. Today, your feature presentation will be a demo of KBC or Keboola Connection to prepare data for consumption by GoodData. We have two separate sources of data, one being in a MySQL database and the other as a couple of Google Sheets. We will use KBC's native extractors in order to bring the data into KBC's secure storage, where it will then be used to transform the data and prep datasets to design the most ideal LDM that we need for GoodData. We will then set up an orchestration that will run the process at scheduled increments, and this will all be set up in the cloud. We will show you how you can have all this set up in under 15 minutes. That's right, hold us to it, 15 minutes. Thanks for watching, and without further ado, your feature presentation. So this is the LDM that we're about to create using KBC. The LDM is optimized to report on restaurant sales. So we have our record of sales dataset here. Sales belong to restaurants and products have some additional information. So we have 4 datasets in total that we're about to create, and we have a date dimension as well. So this is the sales table that exists in a MySQL database. It is a roll-up of sales and transactions per product, per date, and per store. We also have a couple of Google spreadsheets that has some additional information. So this is our restaurant or store list, and it has some additional restaurant information. We also have a products info sheet. So this is our list of products, and it has some additional information about them. So this is a blank KBC project. The first thing we're going to do is prepare the GoodData writer. So what writers are is what we use in KBC to push data from KBC to a specific location. So you can see here our list of writers that we currently have, and we are continually always adding more. So I'm going to create this GoodData writer. So we're going to create a new GoodData project. We could also connect to an existing one easily by just using our credentials. We'll use a developer token and create that. So while GoodData is preparing the project, let's connect to our sources of data. So here is our list of extractors. Similarly to our writers, we're always continually adding more. So let's first connect to our MySQL database. So first, we'll have to set up the credentials. You can see we have a number of drivers that we can use. And now let's add our query. So we're going to name it sales. It's going to go into ncxdb sales.sales in our storage, which I'll show you in a minute. Our query is just grabbing the table sales. We're not going to set up our primary key or run an incremental extraction, although we have the option for that. So that's all we have to do for our configuration. Now all I have to do is run the extractor. And the job has been scheduled. So similarly, let's now add our Google Drive extractor. So I will go to Google Drive here. I'm the one authorizing the account, so I'll just name it Marcus. We have instant authorization, which makes it really simple. Now KBC has access to all the spreadsheets that are in my Google account. So now I can do a quick search for the restaurant list and select the sheet that I want. Similarly, we'll do the same thing for products. So I'll select products info and select the sheet that I want. So we have 2 sheets that we're going to be extracting from. So that's all we have to do for the configuration. And now let's run it. Storage or storage API is where all the data in the project is housed. So we have a few different types of buckets. We have in buckets out buckets, which are the tables that are prepared to be pushed somewhere else. And we also have sys buckets, which contain configuration info for any of the components that you have in KBC. So in NCXDB sales, we have our sales table that has completed extracting. I can go to the data sample and take a quick look. This is exactly what we were expecting. Also in storage, we have some additional information such as when it was created. We can see what exactly happened. This even tracks to the level of detail of who's even looking at the table. Within here, we can actually download the file that was actually extracted into the table. So if I hit refresh here, I can actually see that the restaurants list has completed extracting as well as the products table. So that's exactly what we were expecting. So now let's run some transformations. So we'll hop over to transformations and we will create a new transformation. So we're going to prepare our products tables within transformations. So first, let's add our input. So what transformations is going to do is it's going to take some tables that we select here and put it into a transformation database, run the queries that we set. Then with the output, we're going to push it back into KBC. So I'll show you what I mean. First, I'll select the sales table. And within the database, I'll just call the table sales to make it simpler. Also, let's add the products sheet, and I'm going to call this one product info. If I wanted, I have a few different options for filtering the data that I want in the transformation, or if I want to select data types for the columns or set indexes, I also have that option as well. I have some queries set up here. So what I'm doing is creating a table called product, which is a distinct list of products, which will be our products data set. And also in our additional product information, I'm duplicating a column so that for the price column, we can have one as an attribute and one as a fact. Now we select our output. So I created a table called product, and I want to send that to storage API, outc main product. Also for the product info, we'll do the same thing. So that's our configuration for our transformation. Now I'll just run it. Meanwhile, I'll prepare the other tables that we need for our project. So for the restaurants as well as the sales, I'm actually going to create an alias table, which just synchronizes the raw data that we have in the in bucket. So I want to select our sales table as the source table, and I'm going to name the table sales. And so now if I create that table, it synchronizes the table from the in bucket sales. And I'm going to do the same thing for the restaurant list and call it restaurants. If I hit refresh, you can see that in the meantime, the product and the product info transformation has successfully ran. So here's our distinct list of products and our product information, and we can see the duplicated price column. So now let's configure the writer. So this is the writer that I prepared in the beginning. First, I'll enable the tables for export and do the configuration. So in GoodData, I would like this data set to be called product. And this column is the connection point. Again, we'll rename this table to restaurants and select the column types. I can also rename the GoodData name of the columns here. We have a few different options as well. If I don't remember what was in any of these columns, I could use a quick referral here and just preview the columns. Also, if I wanted to set data types, I could do that here, or GoodData Writer will just simply set a default one depending on the type that you've selected. We've duplicated the price column so we can select one as an attribute and one as a fact. And now let's do our last one. We can ignore the ID column. For the date dimension, we have to create the date dimension. So first of all, the date format does not include the timestamp. And now let's create our date dimension. All we have to do is name it and create it. And now we are selecting, for this date column, select the main date dimension to be connected to. And that's all we have to do for the date. So we've set up our tables and now we just have to hit upload. In the meantime, I'll show you the jobs list. The jobs list, so for any components in KBC that runs, it will end up in the jobs list. So for example, the first thing that we did was create a GoodData Writer. So we can see that job here. We can see that I ran it at this time. It took that long. Then we ran the database extractor, the Google Drive extractor. We ran the transformations. Right now, the status processing for the project upload for our GoodData Writer is there. In addition, we can see exactly what's happening if we click in, so we can see these are the tasks that it's going to be running. It's uploaded the date dimension already, and now it's updating the model. We can actually see a log of exactly what's happening. So we see that the date dimension, the upload of the date dimension completed here. Now the model has completed updating, and so on and so forth. Also, in the meantime, I'll show you what orchestrators are. So let's set up a configuration. What orchestrations is a script that runs a specific set of tasks in an order at scheduled increments of whatever you choose. So I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. First, let's configure our tasks. So I want the orchestrator to run the extractors first, so I will add the database extractor. Then the Google Drive extractor, Marcus was a configuration. Then run the transformations. Then we want the GoodData Writer project to upload. So I've set it up in this order, and that's a configuration. Now let's set up when we want this orchestrator to run, so I can hit edit schedule. I have the options of hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, or annually, but let's just use daily as an example. And let's say I want the orchestrator to run at 3 a.m. and 1800 hours UTC. So now this script will run the tasks that we've configured at those scheduled increments, daily 3 a.m. and 6 p.m. Also, if I wanted notifications in case there were any errors in the process, I could enter my email here, or if jobs take 20% longer than usual, I can also be notified through email there. We can see that the project is still uploading, so we will wait for that to complete. So the job is completed running now. So now let's go check out the project. So if I go to our writers, we have a direct link here that sends us to the project that we've created, and let's check the LDM. So this looks exactly like what we were expecting. We have our records of sales, products data set, we have our additional product information, and we have our restaurants data set, and we have our main date dimension. This looks exactly like what we wanted and what we have over here originally. So in under 15 minutes using Keboola connection, we were able to get raw data from separate sources and prep and design our LDM for GoodData. Thanks for watching.